I remember the first time I ever heard about Bring Me the Horizon was back in 2006 when I had a number of friends telling me about this really cool band from the UK that was starting to take off over in the US. The first time I ever saw Ollie Sykes, I thought the band was going to sound a lot different because of how he appeared. This was peak MySpace core, Hot Topic, and this was very much a contemporary look for a rock and metal musician at that time. But when I put that first record on, Count Your Blessings, I was struck by just how raw and heavy it was, and I was hooked ever since. When I look back on that time in rock and metal music, it genuinely bums me out to think about how these newer generations don't have something like the Vans Warped Tour where you can spend 35 or 40 bucks and see dozens of bands in the same day. So I wanted to talk about why Bring Me the Horizon has been so successful for a long period of time. This was a band that, if you recall, got mountains of shit for their decision to move away from that deathcore sound. They got lots of pressure and pushback, and ultimately they bet big on themselves, and now they're the biggest they've ever been with no signs of slowing down. And I think there are lessons from this, which is why I want to talk about how Bring Me the Horizon has been so successful for so long, in hopes that those new rock and metal bands that are just starting out can maybe look at some of these lessons and apply them to their own band in their own way. I think there's some real valuable information when you look at what Bring Me's done over the course of their career. So lesson number one, evolution of sound. Bring Me the Horizon has constantly reinvented themselves, and this is something they've done very well. It came with so much criticism, and it was sort of a cruel situation for them because if you remember, early on, Bring Me the Horizon also wasn't accepted by metal fans. There was this infamous story when they were on tour with Killswitch Engage and people were throwing shit at them. They eventually won a lot of metal fans over, and then when they decided to shift their sound away from that, a lot of those fans that they had won also would eventually turn on them. I think for Bring Me the Horizon, they went through so much early in their career that they never really felt too tied to either genre because they were never fully accepted to begin with. The reality is, had Bring Me the Horizon chose to listen to that pressure and stay in the exact same place, they certainly wouldn't be the juggernaut of a band they are today. They are absolutely one of the best examples of a current rock and metal band really building an international fan base, and people should look at them as the standard bearers of rock and metal going forward. Reason number two, Bring Me the Horizon has an extremely charismatic frontman in Ollie Sykes, who has always been able to attract relevance and attention, whether it's through fashion, whether it's through the vocals. Ollie is a frontman who's never been afraid to be vulnerable with his fans. He has shared his journey, his struggles, his successes with his fans through his music and through interviews along the way. Also, Ollie has an amazing stage presence. You can tell he's up on stage having a great time. I also think there's an element of mystery to Ollie Sykes where he's not constantly posting on social media. He places an emphasis on quality over quantity, but he's also willing to post memes and have a laugh at himself, like this hilarious meme he posted on Instagram just yesterday. All in all, this magic as a frontman has led to reason number three the band has been so successful. So with Ollie Sykes being a great frontman, that actually takes care of reason number three. They've been able to attract a very strong and dedicated fan base and build that sense of community within their own audience. The audience feels connected to vocalist Ollie Sykes. They're very loyal to the band. They're very engaged worldwide and excited every time they release a new song. They know his story, they know the history of the band, and they are riding for this group 100%. And as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't always like that. They have gotten a lot of shit for their decision to move away from that sound. Reason number four, they have constantly worked tirelessly to improve their sound. And that's not just a reflection on their changing sound, but also the quality of the overall production. Everything Bring Me the Horizon does, they have incrementally improved on over the years as a band. And that's reflected in everything from their production to their visuals to their tour production. Everything they're doing now is at a very high level of quality. Another reason I think Bring Me the Horizon has been as successful for as long as they have is that they have consistently released new music. There are so many bands that have gained huge levels of momentum only for one reason or another to sit on the sidelines for 3 or 4 years. And for most bands, unless you're someone like Tool or maybe System of a Down, you really can't afford to do that, especially when you're in the building phase. And Bring Me the Horizon throughout their entire career has always consistently delivered high quality albums. I'm assuming that they must be writing and recording at all times, including on tour. And they've got people like Jordan Fish, who is a production mastermind that has really taken the band to the next level since he joined. The next reason I think Bring Me the Horizon has become so successful is their live performances. There are a lot of bands that are, for one reason or another, lacking in production. Of course, there are very valid reasons for that. One, in that this is very expensive to have a massive touring rig, to have a massive production design, and it's only becoming increasingly more expensive, which could either result in higher ticket prices or less production value. For Bring Me the Horizon though, what they have done is clearly invested heavily in their production. I remember I saw them twice last year and I was blown away. They even had choreography up on stage with them. That shows this group is not afraid to think outside the box, because you imagine going to your bandmates if you're in a group and going, what if we have backup dancers? I would say 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say no, but Bring Me the Horizon has the guts to do that, and they actually pull it off. Next up is their music videos. Bring Me the Horizon has always invested heavily in their videos over the last 10 years or so. Another band that I think is a great example of this is Falling in Reverse, who clearly invest heavily in their music videos, and they look like a movie when they come out. At the end of the day, the vocalists of many rock and metal bands are seen as superheroes to their fans, and these music videos give an opportunity for them to present these larger than life images, and I think both of these bands have done a great job doing that. Now, at the time of this video, Bring Me the Horizon has a whopping 3 million followers on Instagram, a massive 14 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which puts them ahead of most other bands in rock and metal today. And even their brand new music is streaming incredibly well. For instance, their song Lost, which was released just a few months ago, already has a mind-blowing 33 million streams on Spotify. These are superstar numbers for a band like Bring Me the Horizon in rock and metal. The number one lesson I take away from Bring Me the Horizon's career is that you should trust your instincts. This is a band that had everybody else telling them what they needed to be doing, but ultimately they felt strongly about the direction they were going in, and they have been rewarded significantly for betting big on themselves and trusting their instincts. Number 2 is do what works for you. They certainly could have stayed in deathcore, but they weren't going to be happy doing that. They made a decision to make the music they wanted to create, and once again, the universe has rewarded them for that. And number 3, figure out what your story is. Bring Me the Horizon has a story. People are familiar with the narrative of vocalist Oli Sykes, who has overcome a lot of adversity in his life. He has written about these struggles in his music, and the fans resonate with that in a very big way. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. And you can enter to win our giveaway at the link in the description. One lucky winner will get 4 VIP weekend passes to one of these amazing festivals of the winner's choice.